Since yesterday, I did leave a link to Cameron's Patreon. So if you're not a member, go and become one. It's $5 a month for just to find out what's going on in Hollywood at a deeper level. So yesterday, as I've reported in my uploads, the Five Horsemen have been telling people that Kennedy is no longer or will no longer be part of Hollywood or won't be part of Hollywood for much longer. Obviously, she's leaving. She listed her house. We know that. And it's a quiet exit. She's still president of Lucasfilm, and that pisses off a lot of people. I personally don't like the passive-aggressive approach, but it's not because Iger doesn't feel like it's not. Iger probably does and would like to send her packing off the end of his boot publicly, but he can't. And it's just the way people at this level do things. Okay, it's trust me, I've seen it in DC. My analogy from this morning's upload was the death of Seth Rich, the fact that he was murdered, he wasn't. Hi, Cross. Yeah, I think so too. But let me finish what I'm saying. The death of Seth Rich, he was murdered. His wallet was still on him. His phone was still on him. Watch, all the things that, if it had been a mugging, a mugger would take. So his murder probably had something more to do with the fact that he was tracked to having supplied Julian Assange and WikiLeaks with DNC emails, the ones that John Podesta and others of these people were talking about hot dogs and pizza, which are pedophile terms for little kids, okay? So I want you guys to understand that the person who was Seth Rich's boss, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, probably was the one that had him murdered. But instead of, being kicked off the team in public, she was removed from leadership, which is basically being kicked off the team, probably told vote our way all the time, and she's still on the Hill. But she was disappeared from leadership. That's close to a political analogy as I can get to what's going on with Kennedy. And as close to reality of us ever getting to see her publicly flogged, Steven Spielberg at the Indy 5 premiere. I know a lot of people were like, well, looks like to me that people were just overreacting, and then they realized what had happened. Get away from me, you stink. He smells like a skunk. He's getting a bath tomorrow. He did tangle with that thing. He got enough on him to make him unhuggable. Not Flower did a pretty good job. That's the skunk's name, not Flower. Anyway, and he wants to play, okay, yeah, you got it. All right, you have it. He wants to play, me to play with him with his green pig. Anyway, so that's as close as we're ever gonna get to Spielberg, to seeing Kennedy drag through the mud. Okay, but we have this. We have her putting her house up for a listing. They want 18.5 billion or million for the house. It's got to make you question why. And it's not because people like that don't sell their places. It's because the timing. And when you're talking about stuff like this, timing is everything. Okay, timing is where it's at. Okay, and that's why Doomcock feels she's done. That's why Cameron says it's time to put her in the background. We don't know when her contract is up. Is it this October or is it next October? But her name will still be listed as president of Lucasfilm, and her ugly mug will still be on the Lucasfilm website. Okay, but what can we do in the meantime? Maybe to facilitate a move on her part to facilitate her leaving sooner. I took it upon myself to write a well thought out tweet to Frank Marshall saying it's time for Kathy to resign from Lucasfilm. Okay. And I said, look, the fans deserve closure. The people who used to work for her deserve closure. Okay, they're not getting closure if she's still technically the president of Lucasfilm. All right, and that's true. So I think making an announcement on her behalf, which she won't, but still, asking her to do that on our part would be a good thing. So if there's anybody who knows Kathy Kennedy watching this, tell her let it go. All right. She's been there for 11 years. It'll be 12 in October. She has absolutely nothing to show for it except her legacy being destroyed by her own stupid decision making. Lucasfilm has lost money and cachet under her watch. Disney has lost money and cachet under her because she's been there. Okay. It's just time to make a clean break. And the idea that she still holds on to it is kind of sick and twisted, in my opinion. Okay, I'm putting it out there. So, if you're on Instagram, Frank has Le Doctor, L-E, Doctor, spelled doctor, on Instagram or Twitter. Just send him a friendly message saying, hey, it's time for her to move on. Okay, this is to the point where it's gotten stupid. Okay, so maybe we can push them a little bit. Okay, so but what else can we do? So while we accept that she's not running Lucasfilm anymore, and that there will be a creative director in charge, which will probably be we can ask that Disney go through with the HR decisions of firing Pablo Hidalgo, Matt Martin, Ashley Sharp, Phil Sostak, Carrie Beck, Rain Roberts, Jason Stein, and there were some other names on that, but those are the ones I remember. Why? If you want the fans to talk about something else, okay, you give them something else to talk about. Okay, it's a rule of PR. If we're not getting the red meat of seeing Kathleen Kennedy is ousted at Lucasfilm or fired from Lucasfilm by Disney, what can you give them? Press release title: Disney and Lucasfilm have released several people from the story group and their names. They are no longer working at Lucasfilm. There's the red meat. I understand why we can't have Kennedy, but if you give people that, and trust me, it wasn't Kennedy calling the fans man babies and mocking us for wondering who Snoke was. All right, like Pablo did. It was Pablo Hidalgo. Okay, she let it happen, but it was still him. Okay, it was still Matt Martin. It was still, the rest of them. Okay, it was still Jennifer Heddle screaming, she hates Luke Skywalker. Okay, it was still, look, just because you're putting in a program where the program to connect with YouTubers to do basically put PR out there, that's done. I mean, yeah, sure, Jason Ward's leaks will dry up. We've already got WDW Pro bemoaning the fact he doesn't have any, hey Pocket, He has no more connections with Lucasfilm that are willing to talk to him. And the fact that I read the whole screed Pablo posted, and I gotta tell you, I give that guy credit for being an asshole to another asshole. Okay, well done. I still hate your guts, but I gotta respect that. It is not enough to know that they're not allowed to have anything to do with the YouTubers that were attacking Cameron and attacking myself. It is not enough. Okay. They need to activate HR to remove these people from Lucasfilm. That way, everybody knows that changes have come to Lucasfilm. And look, you take the narrative away from the Black Pills, from G&G, from Nerdrotic, from all these people who just make money on people being miserable. Okay, which is, I mean, how long and in how many ways can you talk about how things suck? Okay, I mean, if that's all you talk about, you are, and the word I hate, toxic, you are a toxic person. Okay, and you know, when you are so toxic that you can't like Kenobi, even though it doesn't break canon. Okay, it doesn't. You can't like the Book of Boba Fett because A, you don't understand how to watch a story. Okay, you don't see the connections to other things that came years before it, and you are on the rampage to just hate everything because it makes you money. You're happier when you're angry all the time. And look, it's not healthy to be angry all the time, is it? No, of course not. So why allow the YouTube community to get away with that when all you have to do is feed them Pablo Hidalgo's scalp, Matt Martin's scalp, Jennifer Hiddle's scalp, Carrie Beck's scalp. Okay, name the name, you know. And if they're gone publicly, then we can talk about it. And I'll tell you something else. If you do that soon, like before Ahsoka comes out, Ahsoka will have a better chance. Okay, and the fact of the matter is, people are saying, "Well, that's only a short-term fix." Is it? Is it? Look, those people's names, and I've talked about these people, have been mentioned in HR memos as being people they wanted to fire. Okay, so do it. Do it. Okay, first we'll know that first the naysayers will know Kennedy is over. She could not protect them. Second, we'll know they can't throw a wrench into John and Dave's plans. Thirdly, we'll know that Disney is serious about putting Star Wars on a better footing. Okay, because look, I don't care how nicey Pablo's been on Twitter or X. I don't care. All right, the guy is a menace. He is a horrible person, and he needs to be fired. Okay, look. What is past is prologue, as William Shakespeare wrote, the Bard of Avon. And if Pablo 4 years ago could be screaming at, you know, Abu Nas or one of the other guys and saying racist shit about him with Freddie Prinze Jr. Look, I remember all that. If Pablo could go on a podcast and brag about getting rid of the EU and then attack people for wanting to keep the EU indiscriminately because he knows Kennedy would protect him, what are we doing here? All right, what are we doing? All right, if he can get away with it. Look, if you remove him and let's say Jennifer Heddle, who boasted how much he hated Luke Skywalker, and basically said that Leia should have punched him in the mouth when he was rescuing her because he was a dumbass. I mean, this fat, disgusting, ginger-haired cow with a big fat face. And it's like, why, oh why, when they did that, are they still allowed to have a pass to go into the Presidio office? Why are they allowed to have Lucasfilm as their present job? Okay, this is why we don't have trust in the fandom when it comes to Disney. Okay, everybody knows that John and Dave are not woke and have what's best for Star Wars, and they understand what George wanted. Everybody knows that, okay, but a lot of people won't believe it because they hang out with people like Tom Quixote too much, okay. They hang out in places where they don't hear another. They're not look. The big YouTubers do not allow a difference of opinion. Jeremy doesn't. Drunk doesn't. Nerdrotic doesn't. If you disagree with them on Kenobi, you're an SJW, okay? And if you disagree with them on Boba Fett, you're an SJW. And instead of saying, okay, we disagree, they turn into what they hate. They turn into Raylos, but the opposite of Raylo. Okay, so you've got a vast majority of the people sitting in between the SJWs and these idiots going, but we liked it. I mean, it was fine. It didn't hurt canon. And if we see somebody like Hidalgo being fired, we see Carrie Beck being fired, we see Lin Brennan being fired, we see all these people leaving. The people that are screaming about how much they hate everything Disney does lose a talking point. And that is important. Now, will they go to talk with something else? Of course they will. But they will lose enough of a narrative to probably lose subscribers and probably not have as big an influence on the fandom as they have. Now, you create the monsters that you hunt. I believe that. If Disney had listened to George, there would still be people out there that hated what they made, but it would be George's. Okay, so they couldn't bring up the fact that Disney didn't listen to George, could they? All right, they would have to acknowledge that George's ideas were the right ones. Okay, so that whole part of the narrative is gone. Had Kennedy stood up for George, which he didn't, stood up for Mark, stood up for Harrison, and realized what JJ was doing with The Force Awakens was going to drive fans away eventually, she told him not to do it. All right. She said, you can't do that with Han and Leia. You cannot kill off Solo like that. She would have probably not have hired Rian Johnson. Which all you gotta do is look at that round-headed little fuck and go, I think not. Where's Ridley Scott? Where's Christopher Nolan? And let them do what they do. Get George on board. All right. Get all the OG people as much as possible together so they can actually make a follow-up to The Force Awakens that was worthy of The Empire Strikes Back. Okay. That's what they had to do and they didn't do it. Okay. And that's why people like G&G and all the rest of these people made such a lot of money and big channels, is because they were created by the incompetence and the hatred of Lucasfilm towards the fans. Okay, you've got cognitive dissonance from both sides slapping each other. And it's like, no, no. What good does that do the franchise? For the franchise. If these people over here still have a narrative point, nothing, okay, it still hurts it because look, they can look at Ahsoka and insist Kennedy had her fingers all over it, that it's going to be wham in power. I can just hear fucking Griggs right now. That it's going to be shitty and woke. All right. You know what the wokest thing I've seen out of Star Wars since Solo is? Andor. Why? The dykes. If they got rid of the lesbians, not had that, it would have been probably, I think, better received. But that is in my opinion, not romantic. It's gross. Gross. Okay. And it's not just because I believe it's a grave sin. I don't think we need to see that shit. Okay, look. We don't need people to be exposed to that. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm going to sound like an extremist, but that's what I hated about it. And it was boring. I mean, look what they did to Mon Mothma. The only character that they had on there that we liked, that was worthy of Star Wars, Luthen Rawl, we didn't get to see enough of him. There were no aliens. It didn't feel like Star Wars. When they show people walking around Coruscant, that's London. I've been there. It's like, so thanks Ira, or thanks Rudolph. So it's like, huh? So yeah, okay, but you have to take away some of the argument that they have. So what if Kennedy's still president of Lucasfilm? She's got nothing to do with it. Want to know how we know? These people were fired. Okay, these people are not there anymore to stick their noses where it didn't belong and to fuck everything up. Okay, that's what we should be looking at. So, you know, if you're on Twitter and you see Pablo farting around, just say, hey, are you getting your resume ready? Start hitting him with it. All right. You know, it's baiting him into an argument. Who cares? Okay, who cares? But it is time for the people who want to sit back, relax, and enjoy Star Wars, who logically understand why they have to be passive aggressive with Kennedy. Okay, logically why. We understand that. It still pisses us off, but we understand why. Why can't they? Why do they have to be passive aggressive with people they told people that we knew they were going to fire? Get rid of them. If you're going to do it and save money, get rid of it. Look, if she's not there, why the flying fuck do they need a story group anyway? Okay? All right? You know, I understand why she's not going to be publicly flogged. I think we all do. All right. It's one of the reasons why I left politics, not just because I was getting married, but you look around and think they don't want anything to get better. They don't want to fix things. They want to keep everything the same because it's money and power. All right. It's like when RFK Jr. or somebody says they want to keep you fat, addicted to bad food, and sick, and unable to, you know, kind of fight back. That's what they want to do. So, and in the long run, I was glad I left. I mean, I could have been the budget director for the Hawaiian Republican Party and I didn't want to do it. I mean, I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. I don't, you know, I voted for George W. Bush twice, and I'm not glad I did it. He turned out to be a phony. Um, and, you know, you look at the party, it's a uniparty. Republicans in charge don't give a shit as long as they get their, uh, you know, boards, fed asses on corporate boards, etc. All right. It's true. And when I look at what's going on in Hollywood, they don't want to make Kennedy a public example because, you know, they're worried about the Kathy Griffin / Elizabeth Banks contingent of morons screaming at them. All right, now look, the fans wouldn't care. Steven Spielberg going out there and basically dragging her and her husband, that was it to me. I was like, all right, bye. They're done. But that's all we're going to get. And when I look at my time in Washington and seeing the stuff after, I understand it. You know, if you bring the, you know, all the bad blood and the bad publicity bringing in the law, you know, if you think about that, that's not good either. For Disney right now, I understand it, but still, give us something. I know, give us Pablo Hidalgo's bald pate. All right, give us the head of any of these people, all of them. All right, on pikes in front of the Presidio, okay, or the studio in Burbank, okay, but do something to make people believe, like I do, that things are changing for the better, okay. I don't want to keep talking about it. I can't wait to see Ahsoka. I mean, we're gonna get flashbacks of Anakin Skywalker during the Clone Wars in live. Okay, we're going to get these flashbacks of them, of him and Ahsoka, which is going to be fantastic, and we should be excited for that. All right. You know, I'll even tell you, I don't like Harrison Dula. I do not like Sabine. All right. I don't. I don't. Those characters, look, I'm not a fan of women characters very much anyway, except for Leia and Padme. But, you know, it's really interesting. George Lucas knew how to write a female character. He really did. All right. I think Dave Filoni knows how. I think Jon Favreau knows how. But we're still stuck with these two that just cringe. But it's still going to be good. So you got to tolerate. Like, I am not a huge fan of Lando Calrissian. But, you know, I have no idea what you just said, Rudolph. But, you know, he's there. It's got good points. I think he's used too much in Return of the Jedi. But there you go. It's not. Yeah, and Ira's right there. Not making this public is about Disney stock because of Kennedy. But if we get, you know, Variety going, Lucasfilm Let's Go Story Group, and then the names are there: Pablo Hidalgo, Carrie Beck, Rain Roberts, blah blah blah. There you go. Okay, it's over. All right, then we know she's lost power because we know she already has, but it will be confirmed officially. Okay, that's all we really need. All right, so if you go on Twitter at Robert Iger, or X, I should say, at Robert Iger, tell him, what are you going to do about the story group at Lucasfilm? If Kennedy is now no longer in charge, why are you still protecting the story group, which has smeared Star Wars and Disney and represented you guys so poorly? Okay, if you put it like that, that's fine. Okay, but I'm gonna be honest. I don't think being passive aggressive with these guys is the way to go, because they're not Kathleen Kennedy, and none of them are in the league she's in. Because the league she's in is the very highest rung of Hollywood. Now she's not there anymore, but still, to as tradition, etc., you passive aggressively remove her. But don't be passive aggressive with Rain Roberts. You weren't with Latondra Newton. You weren't with Victoria Alonso. Okay. All right. Now, again, we know Kennedy couldn't be fired for cause, which. Do you believe anybody would ever allow a contract like that out? I don't. I still look at it and go, but, you know, I don't do those movies, Empress Johanna, and I've never seen you here before, so why are you bringing up something that's not part of the topic? Do we have any blue? Okay, we don't have any blue wrenches. Okay, you're gone. There. And that's how you take care of people like that. Okay, I don't tolerate that. Again, that's a troll. Okay, so she's gone. Whatever. But, you know, if we ask them why they're not firing people from the ones that they said they were going to from Lucasfilm, they might do it. Because look, again, if we see publicly that they've taken care of people who don't have a name in Hollywood. I mean, look, the Latondra Newton firing, that didn't cause any woke uprising. So the firing of Rain Roberts wouldn't cause any woke uprising, okay, at all. So why don't they? And these are the questions that you need to ask. These are the questions that you gotta go, Kennedy's done. She's selling her house. It's over. Okay. I don't know if those moving boxes were for her office, but there were so many of them, they probably were. All right. We haven't heard anything from Sparrow yet on that. Then she's done. Their protector is gone. Get rid of the story group. Look, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni don't need these people. They don't need Pablo. They don't need Matt Martin. They don't need any of them. Okay? If you think about it. But anyway, all right, I'm gonna go now, and I gotta make something to eat because I'm hungry. You guys have a good afternoon, and I will see you guys around the galaxy. And if something happens, you know, maybe we'll get another Sparrow update. I'll be back. See you guys later. And Kennedy is gone. Okay, I don't give a flying fuck what anybody says. Tom or, you know, all the rest of these people. Kennedy's gone. It's over. All right. See you guys around the galaxy.